A recent study on the country's vulnerability to climate change was published by the Nature Conservancy recently. The paper highlights areas with the highest risks of damage and lists recommendations on what can be done to combat certain issues, as our Crystal Darling reports.
In 2015, Hurricane Joaquin struck islands in the southern Bahamas, destroying many homes and other infrastructure. Following the impact of that storm, the government commissioned the Nature Conservancy in partnership with Stanford University to conduct research in order to gain a better understanding of where the most vulnerable communities in the country were. The group conducted a study and released its findings in mid-September of this year following the devastating blow of Hurricane Dorian. Director of the Nature Conservancy, Smith, tells us more.
Some of the most vulnerable places in our country have been places that have been recently hit by Hurricanes, Dorian most recently, but also by Matthew and Joaquin. Rising to the top is actually Abaco and Grand Bahama, and we know that these were two of the most affected islands in Hurricane Dorian. It also showed that other places that are vulnerable in comparison to the rest of the country includes New Providence, Long Island, and some of our southern islands, in particular Crooked Island and Auckland.
She also explains that the main driving force that affects the rate of vulnerability to storms in many cases boils down to the condition of ecosystems in the designated area.
Places where you have intact, healthy ecosystems are yielding some benefits that are actually giving them protection and reducing their vulnerability. One of the most surprising things that came out in this study that has been a bit of a shock for some communities we've shared the results with is that anywhere where you have the leeward side of an island, or where we say the calmer side of an island that has a lot of shallow water, these places are actually the most vulnerable for storm surge. And we actually saw this playing out in Hurricane Matthew. One of the places most affected after that storm was Low Sound and Andros. Now, Low Sound is the place where mangroves were removed, so removing the mangroves from that community increased their level of risk or vulnerability.
Smith adds that with this important piece of research now published, the government and the Bahamas will be able to use it as a guide in the rebuilding process and sustainability of land and infrastructure. TNC executives are encouraging both the government and private citizens to take advantage of suggestions listed in the paper to minimize potential storm damage to communities.
Some development, as we know, is needed to kind of drive the economy of our countries. We want to build with nature and including nature and really incorporating nature into our design to continue to yield those benefits rather than doing what we have done in the past, which is normally we kind of just take ecosystems out, destroy them, and just put in whatever type of infrastructure. No, we need to do a better job of trying to really marry the two kind of objectives together.
More information on the study can be found on the Nature Conservancy website. Crystal Darling, ZNS Network News.